good afternoon from LCC
Hello.
International University, which is connecting us today with our alumna in Moldova. So, welcome, Valentina. Truly
Thank you
a
for having me and inviting.
Absolutely. Truly a pleasure for us to have you online with us. So thank you for the audience who continues joining us. And as it has become already a tradition over this past academic year, every other week, every other Monday, we are having these live coffee with LCC alumni series, during which our alumni share their experience, their career path, and then they share their insights and their knowledge and wisdom with our audience. So this is our way of reconnecting together, of reconnecting alums with LCC, but also helping future students, current students, to also learn from those who have gone through the same path at LCC. So today, our theme, or the theme that Valentina has chosen, is Maslow's pyramid in practice: 7 tips from a marketing director. So, Valentina, introduce maybe yourself and your role currently, right, to the audience. So we know the title suggested that you are already a marketing director. So maybe tell us a little bit about your career path after graduation, which happened in 2012, right?
hmm
So just kind of about yourself briefly.
so my name is Valentina and I'm coming from Moldova. I've studied at LCC. I started studying in 2008 and I graduated in 2012. After LCC, as every other student, I was thinking and wishing to pursue the studies at the master's somewhere. So the biggest fear, I don't know, at that time was returning back to the home country. I don't know, I think that was the biggest crisis we've ever hit. Not only me, it's also about my friends and the rest of the students of the fourth year when we were thinking what to do the next. So we were running and studying what would be the next step. And I was accepted to masters in Canada at a very nice and lovely university in Saskatchewan. So I basically came back to my home country to prepare all the docs. So I was having in my mind that this is the last few months that I will spend in my home country, and then I will leave and start my new, I don't know, career, let's call it academic career in Canada. That was my dream. I was looking to study public health. I was, I don't know, dreaming to work at the World Health Organization since I was psychology major, and that was actually LCC was my second university. So everything was related to psychology major as the first university. I also graduated having psychology as a major. Second university LCC, and everything was related to psychology, and everybody who knew me was sure that I would be the one who would actually succeed in this field and will follow it and will I don't know, develop professionally myself. But life is not the way we are expecting, and probably this is why we like it. Everything is changing so fast, and some circumstances have appeared in my life, and I couldn't just leave. I couldn't leave because my papers were not done, because of the money issues. So many things appeared. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna look for other options, and I found a really nice university in Austria, and I passed again all the stages of being accepted, and I had the interviews, and I had to pass some exams. Nobody actually was doing the exam thing, but they were doing. And anyways, I was accepted, but then it, I just took a decision not to go. And I decided to stay at least for a year and try to work. I was thinking like, okay, I am 20 years old and I have almost no experience of having a serious job. So I was in my homeland, and I was thinking, let me gather some working experience. So I was working. It was a very bad experience. Anyway, that was my experience. And then I thought, okay, so I promised myself I will have a year of on pause on academic achievements. So the year has passed to an end, and I decided, okay, now it's the time to start moving forward. So I passed the same exams at the same university in Austria. I was accepted again. And then I thought, well, I'm not really ready to start doing the papers and research, and I kind of got the taste of having a work environment. I saw this is my path, so I put on the pause again. So in 2015, that was my third attempt to do the master's. I was again accepted, but that was the moment when I actually understood that everyone has its own path, and it's not necessary to have a master's degree. It's not necessary to follow the same rules as everybody else does. So I just accepted my personal experience. I started as PR manager in some business center, and then I had experience of being a freelancer, of a copywriter. I did not find any job for my major. Actually, I found, but what they were offering was so bad, and I understood that I'm not going to make a living, actually, like zero living, and I have no savings to offer myself that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do what I can do. So I tried many things, but somehow everything was related to marketing field. And then I remember that back at LCC, I was actually a part of Stuco, and I was organizing events. So I was creative. LCC taught me to organize my plans well. So somehow I was having those ties with marketing, and I thought, okay, why can I study it on my own and just try it? So that's how basically nothing um, there is no magic. It's just I asked for something, I went for a job, I did not have experience. I basically said I have no experience, but I have the goals, I have the desire, I'm very hardworking, so let me try. And I tried, and it somehow worked. And then internet is very fascinating right now. You have all the information out there. You just need to look into it. And then I was very communicative. So I was trying to find people who would teach me by speaking. So they were giving me a lot of tips on the work. I started with something small. I started with social media, and then I started with copywriting, and then I started being, I was as a manager who was delegating few parts, social media, copywriting, the website creation, and then I kind of enclosed, and then I had some experience in offline. And in few years, you kind of get the sense that you know something, you start understanding something, and basically, the biggest experience was when I was hired as a marketing manager for a restaurant business. So I was running 7 restaurants. It was a very exhausting experience in terms of, since I was positioning myself as a very junior specialist, the company would I don't want to say the word use, but they did not treat me well. Okay, let's call it like this. They did not treat me as a did not treat me nicely. I had like a crisis, but I had this in my mind, this idea that I need this experience. I don't care what they say. They use bad words. I was working 24/7. I was underpaid. But I had this clear idea that I just need to do it for a certain period of time, just for the sake of experience. And once I got this experience, I took my chance. I came to an interview with my fellow colleague, and I was actually applying for a completely different job. I was going to become a business manager, like a sales manager. But since my CV all included only marketing activities, and they were looking for a marketing specialist, he offered me, after like speaking 20 minutes, I think he offered me right away the position of marketing director. And I did not get this. I'm like, wait, we're having a conversation for 30 minutes. I'm applying for a business development manager job, like a sales manager, and now you're offering me like a high level position without even knowing me. And the experience that I had was not very senior. He says, yes, we are just opportunistic. There is a need. We need somebody to lead this department. It's a new department. There are basically like one person in the department. You have the opportunity to grow and to build it from scratch. And of course, I accepted it because it was an interesting opportunity, and the financial demand I had was very low, so it fit their interest. It's like both win-win. I get the experience, they get a nice employee with a low money demand. So this is basically that was 7 years ago in this company, development aid. So the idea what my colleague had was to me to organize all the marketing activities and work for half a year, and then actually transit to his department to becoming a sales manager. But 7 years later, I'm still here. Right now, the team consists of 32 people now. I've hired 2 more this week. So 32 people. The positions are very diverse, and we're still growing, and it's not gonna stop. So you should understand, I was the third one in my team, so we were like 3 people, and now we're 32 people. And besides having local in the team, I have international team members. I have one colleague from Nepal, and he is um, I I don't know how old exactly he is, but I know he's older than me. So that's a great honor to work with people who are actually they are more experienced, but somehow I still feel very comfortable having them in the team. The youngest one is 17 or 16 years old, and he is still enrolled in a school. So he's working as a remotely part-time. We're offering very flexible working hours. I have a colleague working from Poland. I have a colleague working from Netherlands, Germany, South Africa, and one from Papua New Guinea. And from
Wow.
Romania. Yes, right now she's in Moldova, but she's gonna move to Romania. So yeah, it's a very international team, which is very close to what I am used to at LCC, because having everybody from different countries speaking English, and then Russian, Romanian, and I don't know, Lithuanian, it's very simple for me because I had this experience already. So
So you built your own mini LCC version.
yes, we can say that. Yep. Actually, a lot of practices that are done at LCC are very much done here as well. So this why I love this company, and I'm working for so many years. Even though everybody says it's a modern time, you have this opportunity to jump from a company to the other company. There's no need to be involved for 20 years, as we had this idea that we have to work for somebody for 20 years, but now it's like 2 years, projects per projects. But I actually have projects, multiple projects in the company, so I don't feel the urge. And I had this idea after graduating from LCC that and I still keep saying to my friends and everybody I know that it's the best life experience that I have. But sometimes it was a bit of utopia, because when I graduated, I remember this nice moment when the teachers, when the professors were giving you flowers and actually clapping. You should understand, nobody else will do it in your life. It was the best experience in my life. I never have this servant leadership. I think that's how it's called. Yes. You will not experience this anywhere else. And this is this part of utopia, because everybody is nurturing you, and you know that people actually do care at LCC. And when you are graduating, you are kind of there and nobody cares. And that's the moment when you need to readjust to the real world. So I found my LCC over here because in the company somehow this because we have our SEO is from Holland and Netherlands, and he is very European. His management style is very unique and is very LCC alike. So yeah, so I found my utopia here because when I hire people, I understand that they, even though they will at some point will leave this place, they will not find this utopia anywhere else because we're very nurturing them.
Mm. Well, I mean, it's so amazing to listen to you and still feel the excitement, coming from, from your words and your emotions. I mean, so it's just like, I mean, as you said, so in your current position, you've been working for 7 years, but you're obviously so engaged and so much in passion with your work, which is, I mean, truly amazing to see. So of course, I'm sure many of the audiences, as much as I want to ask, what contributed to your success, right? You said, as you said, you came into the role when it was a department of just three, 2 people, and then you joined. And right now, the growth is where you have 32 employees and you continue on growing. So I don't know whether, that is kind of where you were planning to get the tips, share the tips for the audience, or whether this is additional insights that I would be very eager to hear from you. Like, what would you contribute as
Mhm.
your growth success?
It's actually a part of my presentation, but I
Perfect.
will skip that. I will leave it for the presentation. It's the main idea that we've just realized, and we are actually implying it into use. It's people follow people. It's not the company, it's not the brand, although the brand is very much people are following it, but people follow people. So this is why we have the modern approach in marketing, having influencers everywhere. So you have the popular person who is advertising something on the Instagram account. Why is that? Because people follow people. The same, to answer the question, it's probably my boss who is very opportunistic. He really likes to work with people who are very junior because he believes that it's easier to give to a person an idea and wait for the results than to have somebody very experienced with high expectation and then ask for something very creative. So I think 80% of what I'm doing now, how I see the things, how I manage the team is due to him and to his vision and his actually time that he has invested, not only me, but in my colleagues, other directors, because we have the division of the departments. And probably it's this, the ability to cooperate and to eat the information like I used to do it at LCC. So basically that's like two components. It's LCC who taught me to become very aware and very like patient and looking for information to study, and him, my boss, who was showing me how to do things. He was giving me some suggestions or solutions. My colleagues as well were very supportive. So I think it's like
Mhm,
multiple personalities involved in
mhm,
this. It's always people. It's always
mm.
about people. There's no magic, no pill.
Right. Right. And I mean, as I say, like people then create the environment in which you want to grow and to learn. All right. Well, let's then go to the presentation that you've prepared so that you can share your tips and your experience with the audience, and then we'll continue the conversation further in terms of where LCC chipped in shaping your path.
Yeah, 1 second. Can you see the screen?
Yep. All good.
Okay. So this is a picture. I tried to include as many pictures as I could find from my years from LCC. So I was thinking, what wisdom can I pass to the audience who's going to watch me? And then I kind of realized that who am I to have some wisdom? not the wisest. I'm not the I don't know, the biggest PhD in some areas. I'm just a simple person who has his her own path. So I was thinking that the oh, where did it go? Okay, so I just realized that there's no universal advice that will 100% assure that you're doing good. And when I'm thinking about the word you're doing good, I will always picture like the almost graduating students, because this is the time when they are in the most crisis. I understand that this is going to be watched by staff and by almost to be students, which is fine as well. But anyways, I am picturing a person, fourth year, who is thinking what to do and how to do and grasping and looking for advices and for, I don't know, like strict suggestion, you do that, then you will succeed. No, no, no. There are no suggestions. Don't listen to anybody. Your path is only your path, and only you know how to do it good, and you can do it good. You can transform into something that you will call good. So my 7 tips based on my personal experience. This is my experience, and it shouldn't be taken as granted because it's only me who, I don't know, I just analyze and put it in 7 points. So first, very important is to know who you are. As I already mentioned in my introduction, who am I? This is basically the one of the Maslows. I will make the transitions between Maslow and actually the tips. So know who you are. I have studied at LCC. I graduated and I have a psychology major. I worked in Stuka in 2000, volunteered in Stuka in 2010, 11. I was accepted into masters. I was looking to studying for public health. I was having the dream to work at WHO. So I kind of knew who I am. I passed really successfully the thesis statement. I was enrolled in different activities beyond LCC, presenting LCC. I was organizing the parades of stars and a lot of events. So I was always busy. But what next I learned that it is okay to fail. So I didn't pursue my master's degree. I couldn't find a job on psychological field. I lived 8 months without a salary. I worked as a freelancer without actually having a contract, and sometimes underpaid and not paid. Then I worked as a marketing manager 24/7, being underpaid at a restaurant. I was hired only at the age 30 at development aid right now, my work that I'm here. I'm managing a team of 31 people at 36. I had received a diverse certificate at age 35, and I'm almost a master's of sports at the equestrian field, also 36. So when we're talking about success, we have to also dig in and see what do we understand in this success. For each success, for every person, success is different. Is it success to be in a master's degree, to be at a university, to study well, to have only A's? Is it success? For some, yes. For some, it's just a part of their life. What is success to you? First, you have to answer it. For each person, success in its the biggest sense of the word is very different. You can be successful at anything, but the most important is that when you are thinking of somebody and looking for other person who is your example, just think not only at the last stage when you see the success, also dig a little bit deeper and try to find the path that the person has passed to become this, as you call, success. Another I don't know, the tip that I have to learn and I realize still sometimes having questions is life is not black and white. When I used to be a student, there was no other way than I finished. I had a paper, I had to finish it on time. I needed the grade. I needed to finish and graduate LCC. And then, of course, I needed to go to a master's. Why? I don't know. I just need it because it's the right thing to do. but life is not black and white. It's, of course, then you think, I'm psychology major, so the logical path would be to be a psychology or a therapist or a counselor, or I don't know, somebody related to psychology. But as you can see, life is not black and white. It has multiple variations of the colors, which is great. Nothing is certain, and the biggest, I don't know, quality that I actually respect in other people is being flexible. So this is my team on the right. This is my team of 2 people and myself. And on the left, this is some of the team members. And this is done during the COVID period when it just hit. It's 1st of April, actually. It's when everything was shut down and nobody was outside, and I had people in Germany and Netherlands working, and then people in Moldova, and the whole company kind of had this moment of silence when we didn't know what to do, how to do, because you don't learn this. You don't actually learn to survive in the COVID periods time, because you never actually expect a COVID to hit you. And this is also the moment when you understand life actually is not only black and white. So it was an interesting experience during COVID to readjust the work paths and to actually reanalyze and analyze all the working conditions that we had. So this period allowed us to actually be more flexible with time, be flexible with people we are working with timing, with salaries, with the actual work. We've realized that actually there is no need to have a person in the office. You can do everything nicely at home. Yeah, and you kind of learn this when everybody else is crying out loud and it's closing businesses, and we, because of having this flexible modality of operating at work, we kind of readjusted really easily. Right now the company is back to normal, but we still allow people to work from home, which is really great, because this means that we can hire more people and have more spots in the office, because some people decided to work from home. They can travel and still work. Basically, you don't have any restriction anymore. Life is not black and white. I remember the time when I had papers and we were so stressed because of this. We couldn't sleep. I remember my second year at LCC and the exam period, and I didn't sleep for 5 days in a row because I was too stressed about the exams and I was studying. And then all those papers, and we did all those sleepless nights, and we were so stressed. But now I kind of understand nobody cares about this. Nobody ever asked me about any paper that I submitted or any of my marks I received. The only thing who cares is me. So everything you do, and you will do probably in at LCC, after LCC, just do it for yourself. Everything that you are grasping right now, you're reading a book, you're reading a research, you are listening a seminar, a presentation, doesn't matter. You're doing it only for yourself, for your knowledge, for your sake, I don't know, for your development, because nobody else cares. And this is good. You should care about yourself. Right now, when I am having the assessments before accepting a person into my team, usually it takes me up to 30 seconds to understand if the person is going to succeed or do well in the team. It doesn't matter how old the person is, 17, 45, 57, doesn't matter. Usually I can grasp it by how the person is speaking and what he's speaking. So everything you do right now at LCC or extra curriculum, it will have an impact only on yourself and the way you speak, the way you think, and the way you act. And this might have an impact on future hirings. For example, when you are giving extra readings, don't do it just because somebody asked and because you're gonna have the grade. Grade is great. You have to do it for your own sake, for your brain development, if I may put like this. as I already said, I believe in this, and this is not because I'm giving a presentation for my university, what I studied. I keep saying to everybody that LCC is the best part of my life. Of course, I also have interesting life aspects right now from the academical, let's call it academical environment, because it gave me the opportunity to grasp, to squeeze everything that I could. It's the language, everything. When I receive CVs, I'm not looking for experience. I'm not looking for grades. I'm not looking for great papers or I don't know, magic words in CVs. I'm looking for a decent knowledge of English, and this is actually a top must for every position at my company, because it's an international company. We're looking for people who are actually speaking really well in English, be it oral or written form. So please, if you see some extra activities that will give you opportunity to learn the language better, go for it. Go for rhetoric and communication. That's gonna do it. Being up to the date with the technologies. What made me different from other people who were applying for this position is the ability to operate online. I knew what a presentation is. I knew how to set it well because I have actively participated, and I nicely done all my presentation for all my classes. I was able to do the presentation in 5 minutes, and thank you, Yulia Gaiduk, for teaching us how to squeeze a 3 chapters into 5 minutes presentation. And this is a good skill. I knew how to what a plagiarism is. So whenever somebody is writing a text, and I, as a marketing director, we do work a lot of copywriting. And when I see plagiarism, this is bad, guys. Don't plagiarize. You have to learn this. LCC actually taught me that. What made me different is the knowledge of how to use online, how to make the research well, what an analysis is, how to do the calculations, how to do analytics, everything I've learned, by the way, in psychology classes. I think everything, half of what I'm applying right now at marketing, I've learned it in research and analysis classes. Because Google Analytics has analytics. You want it or not, you're still going to do analysis. That's the how it works. What else I've learned? I was actually writing pretty clearly and concise. Why? Because all the works I've submitted were online given. I remember we had the papers that we had to turn in hard copy, but most of the works were done online. I knew how to cooperate with different people from different cultures. And when you work at a company who has 250 people and 11 departments, and you are in a position of a marketing director, want it or not, but you're going to cooperate with 200 of people, sometimes not simultaneously, sometimes with half of them simultaneously. Every person is very different. The level of their knowledge in some fields is different. The background is different. The culture is different. We also have a pretty international background over here. So this is what I've learned at LCC, and kind of it's in me. So it's, for me, it's a bit easier to understand what's going on if compared to somebody else. Probably this is the secret. Now I kind of I can see why I'm here. Also, I've got the organizational skills due to Stuco. It was an interesting opportunity to actually study and do something more extra curriculum. And just being nice. I remember everybody at LCC was so nice. There was no that angry person who would yell or do something. Everybody was so relaxed, professional. So probably you are kind of used to this, and you are looking for an environment, similar environment, and you are trying to be like this. I remember after being back from LCC, I looked a bit strange for the home country. Nobody smiled, and I was working for a year in States. I was grasping this American smile, so I was smiling everywhere, and people thought that I'm a bit cuckoo here, but that's a different culture. So my seventh tip is to stay healthy. Don't be afraid of crisis. This is a normal life path. So in order to succeed at anything, you need to acknowledge everything you're going through. You need to acknowledge your physiological needs. So whenever you're going to apply for a job, never forget that, first of all, your basic needs are coming first. You will need food, you will need water, you will need shelter. The work that you're picking is going to become your network, and you will need a sense of belongingness. The same with LCC. This was the biggest crisis that we've hit. All the graduating students hit is this idea that actually we belong to LCC, and then once we are graduated, who are we? To what group are we belonging? Because this is such a innate psychological need. This is where the disruption happens, and everybody's a bit stressed. And actually, I am a bit jealous that you guys are having now this opportunity to speak to people who went through this. I think if I had back then the opportunity, I would be more relaxed, I guess, because I needed somebody to tell me it's gonna be fine, don't worry. Anyways, this is basically it. No smart thoughts, just purely my life.
This is truly amazing. Well, thank you for taking the time to even look through the old photos and add them to your presentation. Like this is it's so cool to kind of walk through your slides, kind of to also see your experience and the lessons learned. So, I mean, this was truly great to see and follow. And thank you, for openly sharing your lessons learned and what, what are the takeaways. As you say, like if somebody would have told you this um, when you were graduating, how much more maybe assured you would have been that it's okay to build your own path and to make some failures, but sometimes well, your example shows that you've went through that, you've learned, and here is what you have become right now. I'm just wondering, so if you could change anything about the past, um, would there be anything that you would have done differently? And one question in particular, I mean, as I said, like you very much went the business path. Yes, at LCC, and even in your prior education, you were studying to be a psychologist, right? So, I mean, you were a psychology major and you had hopes, but as you said, the life path went very different. So, my other question would also be, would you say that the education in psychology has been helping in your current career or in your professional life in general? And if given a chance, would there be anything that you would want to change?
No, I wouldn't change my major. I've learned a lot of psychology is still my passion. If anybody would touch any topic, I could remember all the research I read about, and I would actually become very smart ass, and I would talk about this for hours. But no, I think, well, first of all, my job right now requires a lot of managing, and you can do managing without knowing people, without understanding how they operate. This actually helps me a lot. This helps me not only when at the moment when you're hiring a new person, but actually this transition from not being an employee into being an employee, and then you actually hit different also stages of development of each employee. It's not like the person comes and that's it, he is successful. No, you have to work with this person. To the person sells you his own time, his professional time. I'm buying it, and I want the best out of it. Besides that, I'm thinking also about the psychological health of the person, and I really want him to succeed. So this is where I actually applied the most all my knowledge and how to speak differently. And 32 people, everybody's different. There is no, if I will speak the same language with a designer and with a journalist. No, no, different people, completely different people. So no, I would not. I would probably, the only thing I would change, I would I would learn, I would study more.
Mhm.
Right now, I would read actually more. I would read more, but from the from the perspective of changing majors or the location where I've studied, no, I think it's otherwise I would become somebody else.
Mhm.
So I
Well, and this is where I do want to jump in and kind of emphasize to the audience that this is truly where the value of the liberal arts education comes into play. Because as part of the education at LCC, I mean, even though you were a psychology major, right, you did have all other classes. I mean, and as you were mentioning, both like that's the public speaking and also intro to business. So it's also the path that many students choose. Like even if they are majoring in business, they choose to take some classes from psychology department just to have the skill sets of what you were referring to. So any comments from your side on the model of education in general?
I think the more various is the best it is. For every student, just to be clear, everything that you're studying there, you're not going to apply in life. So you're not going to come at any office and do the research or write papers. So just forget about this. But you will have the knowledge. What the university does to you is the ability to kind of make your brain function in a way like, um, you're multi-developed, and this makes you grasp more information and make other decision and perform differently. So there is no class that I would erase, and you should understand I had classes like psychological classes, yes, but then I had them business classes, and then I had the religious classes, which I actually really liked. And right now I can easily have the discussion about Bible and Old Testament, and I think this is not something lame. I think this is makes me a bit smarter than the others and understand me things better. I had the opportunity to study religious art. That was additional class that is not offered. I don't think it's offered right now, but to learn from somebody something, it makes me exclusive, not everybody else. It's only for me. So yeah, the more diverse, the best. Um, it's per, like, overall it's like this mixture of knowledge, mixture of your abilities, of your thoughts, ideas that make you better than the other person. Let's, if we're gonna do business, let's do it. So I have two candidates. So I would pick up somebody who is a bit different, because probably he had different liberal art education. And you can
Mhm.
actually, it's felt, it's the education that the person had, uh, you can feel it while you're having discussions.
Mhm.
You can feel it.
Right. Um, I do want to remind our audience that if you have any questions for Valentina, make sure you type the question in the Q&A box or in the comment box on Facebook. Like I'm watching both channels, so we'll be glad to pass on your question. But I do want to kind of lead into the question where you if you were to give your words of wisdom for future LCC generations, what would you tell them? I mean, there's right now still the admission process is happening, and many high school students have just finished or are finishing the school and are trying to determine their future by choosing, the university. What would you tell them, and why would LCC be a good place and for whom? So like from your own experience, your words of wisdom for future LCC generation.
So my words of wisdom for future. Right now on the market there are many options. Seriously, there are, like, the universities have become as a business. So I would opt for something more small, but who has a very different approach, and that's what make LCC. There's this word in business. It's unique market offer. So this is what makes LCC different from the others. This is its unique offer is the personal approach and the nurturing stuff. And for especially younger students, and I know that some countries like Ukraine and Russia, I think the applicants are a bit younger than, for instance, compared to Moldova, because Moldovans are 19 probably when applying, and Ukrainians and Russians are 16, 17. I think this is the best because um, the rules, the settings, the feedback, the way the transitional, this path of a new student and growing the person towards the fourth grade is very unique, and not there are no other universities, at least I don't know, those who would nurture that much as LCC. And for parents, especially if they are looking for, I think this is the best, and I always recommend LCC. I understand there are different levels of universities, Princeton, Harvard, but we're not talking about this. We're talking about our segment. This is the unique of LCC. This is the nurturing stuff, and the that's what I would probably opt for.
Thank you. And I think, I mean, even in your throughout your presentation and your sharing, you have described it. I mean, that when you were a student at LCC and when it was time to go, it felt like leaving. I mean, we often describe LCC as this greenhouse where we, all live in this safe bubble, and there is so
Yeah,
much
yes,
care for
safe
the
bubble.
student. Yes, and all the personal attention that truly sets LCC apart from many universities. So, I mean, it's this personal approach. So we often tell some, students that if you want to go to a university where no one will know your name and will ever ask for your opinion, don't choose LCC, because at LCC it will be the opposite of that. So, I mean, through your experience and your sharing, you many times kind of affirmed that claim.
This is very sensitive for international students. I understand there are different cases, but the majority is having this disruption from the family, especially when coming from abroad. And this is what actually helps them transition easily, because once you are far away from the family, you're in a different culture, in a different country, you have to deal with your financials, with your studies. Is very different, and this is very stressful. This approach of handling the students in such a personal way, this helps actually.
Hmm.
I know there is a psychologist, but it's I think that's the cycle of everything, of every approach. I think there is a question from Betul Turel. Good afternoon. How did you decide to go for marketing but not educational or clinic psychology? How can we also decide? I'm glad to hear your opinion. So the way I went to marketing was very random. As I already said, I was back from LCC. I was looking for pursuing the master's degree. It did not happen, so I kind of had to do something. So I had experience in being a volunteer in Stuco. I had some experience, a bit of marketing, but more with events organizing. And I just grasped the first offer on the market, not being paid, but I went there and I started trying. You can do, I never actually wanted to become a clinic psychologist. I wanted to study the public health, which is a bit different, and my idea was and plan to work with the World Health Organization. So I was not going to do counseling or therapy. I wanted to be more like create rules and analyzing stuff and do like on a more national level, like on a higher governmental level. So I was looking actually for it, and I still work with World Health Organization, but from a different perspective. Anyway, so how to decide? I would say that you're gonna decide this when you are the last year of LCC. The decisions should be tied to your thesis work. Basically, your thesis is your first attempt to show a field that you're interested and you want to dig, because the thesis work is a very, I don't know, it's a very long paper, and you have to do a lot of research, and you will eventually, after finishing, you will become a bit more proficient in this. So I would say don't worry about it until you're the fourth grade, at least I don't know, try many things. Clinical psychology requires a lot of medical information and be ready for this. And also it requires a lot of work with practical work with different people. You need to probably, that's my personal opinion, you need to be a sort of character of yourself. With educational psychology, it's a bit different. Probably it's a more nurturing type of a person who will be very patient with kids, because it's a different, it's a different field. It's like with business, you have many fields. So it's different angles that you've mentioned, and probably you have to know who you are in order to choose what's gonna fit you the best from the knowledge perspective that you are going to acquire at the end of the university, and also from the personal I don't know who you are. For instance, more sensitive people, you need to understand that probably some situation be very sensitive for you. So this is why I never wanted to be a therapist. I'm too I have too much sympathy and empathy towards people.
Right.
Hope I
Um,
answered.
Thank you. Well, we have a comment on Facebook from Rimas, who says, well, having a broader point of view or a less centered education doesn't make you smarter. You are definitely more knowledgeable in certain areas, but to call yourself smarter is a crazy stretch. Well, Rima, and I don't think that, well, I will let Valentina jump in, but I don't think that there was the conclusion made that that is the only and that's the best way. I mean, that everybody chooses, but we were talking of the value of liberal arts education in respect for those who want the broader based education. Valentina, maybe you have a comment.
Well, that's an interesting perception of a person who commented. Never brought the word smart, I think. I think I mentioned only when hiring. I just said that I will feel different types of education, and I did not say that I'm not going to hire the other person and disregard the other based on the education. No, no, no. It's actually very simple. Usually I see it in practice. Smart concept is so different now. I don't know. I don't know how to answer, actually. I didn't get the question. Like,
Well, there was
what
no
is
question.
the,
That was
okay,
just the
it's just a
comment.
comment.
Yes, and this is where then I also wanted to make sure that I don't think that there was a claim either from me or from you saying that that is a smarter version. So, but that's a point of discussion, of course. Right. So, as we are approaching the end, and I don't see any more questions coming, I truly want to thank you for, as I mentioned, for all of the preparation that you've done and for sharing your hardships, you know, your path, and it's truly nice to see how through that discovery, you know, where you ended up and how much you are enjoying what you do right now. And this is where hopefully it can serve, your sharing can serve as an inspiration for our audience. So what is up for you for the future? Any big dreams, any big aspirations? What's next? What do you know, prepare for yourself going ahead?
Well, I'm preparing to extend the team more. We have plans to grow. So the positions are always opened. We are launching few products on the market. We are going to promote those. This is the personal, my at the professional level. On the personal level, I'm going to pass the test to acquire actually the candidate, this label for candidates in equestrian, and pursue my diving skills. That's my personal stuff. And
Yes,
travel, of course. I'm waiting until the borders are gonna open and travel.
absolutely, yes. Well, so as LCC is entering its 30th anniversary year, if you travel and pass by Lithuania, do stop by. Like, would love to see you live. At the same time, I mean, since you said your company will be hiring, so I do want to remind the audience that Valentina works for Development Aid in Moldova. So if any LCC grads or LCC students or anyone from the audience is looking for an interesting and challenging career, I guess watch Development Aid um, website and job postings, right?
Yep, it's for the position, internal position, they have to look for the website work with us at developmenta.org. And by the way, we hire without experience. Some of the positions require no experience. We're going to teach you everything.
There we go. And now with the remote world
And
being
remote,
more
yes.
normal, anyone and everyone can join. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Valentina. Again, before I say goodbye to everyone, I do want to make announcement of our last webinar, which will happen on July 5th. So just before hitting the summer mode, on July 5th, we will have at 4:30, so the regular time, Lithuania time, we'll be meeting with our alumna from 2009, a business grad, Maria Goloshchapova. Well, now she goes by the name of Mia Pincent. So she will be talking about LCC values of servant leadership and volunteering as a foundation for life and career. So, I mean, I think those same principles and sharing kind of comes through our alumni wherever they are and whatever they do. But in Mia's case, I mean, she'll share um, her life in and her volunteering in South Africa and Guatemala, and how she is locally also still serving in food bank, and how also she is what her role is now working as a senior IT project manager. So we are very excited to follow our alumni careers, their life path. And Valentina, we wish you the best of luck as you continue growing your team and growing in your career, but also pursuing your hobbies. While diving career sounds like an exciting one. So thanks again for being with us for this hour. It was truly a delight to reunite. Thank you for our audience for being with us, engaging in questions, and we hope that this was also inspirational for you. So I wish